Money mantra. Money mantra. Manage your mind. Manage your money. All right, everyone. So we are here on another episode of the Money Mantra, and this is a bonus episode. Today, I have the founder of Wavve. Wavve is a technology company that provides solutions to digital audio creators to better share, promote, and market content. I have Baird Hall with me. Baird, how you doing today, man?
Hey man, thanks for having me on. I'm doing really well. It's a rainy day here in Charleston, South Carolina, but I can't complain.
Man, that's okay though, man. Rain happens. Rain happens.
Yep.
And speaking of rain, man, as an entrepreneur, man, let's talk a little bit about rain and entrepreneurship, man. So how's the journey been so far? Tell me a little bit about getting started with Wavve.
It's been a little crazy. It's a long story, which I guess that's what podcasts are for. So I might start from the beginning here.
There we go. Let's do it.
So I'll take you back to, it wasn't that long ago, but about a year and a half ago, at the beginning of 2016, I cooked up this idea that I was working for a software company, and here in Charleston, I'd been there for 4 years and went through some growth stages, and it was starting to become a big company. And at that point, I was employee number 9 and 9 or 10, and it was getting to 50, 60, which is about when I'm ready to kind of go look at something a little smaller, a little riskier. But I cooked up this idea that I wanted to create an app that allowed sports fans to join communities, like basically chat rooms with other sports fans around their favorite teams or games or whatever it may be, and allow them to submit 60-second audio posts and actually talk with one another back and forth. So almost creating like a virtual sports bar where people can jump in and talk smack back and forth and keep up with the games. And so I cooked up this real big idea, and I convinced one of my good friends, a developer, to start working on it. And we spent about 6 months on it, and we left our jobs and we decided to go all in. We were like, this is going to be a huge idea. It's going to be massive. We're going to, raise a shit ton of money and just go after it. And it didn't work out. But man, we learned so much. And, we kind of at a certain point just had to kind of jump in. But anyway, that led us into the podcasting market. And we actually started using those apps to help podcasters take audience submissions and voice comments. So if somebody was listening to the podcast, they could pick up the app, join the chat room for that podcast, and leave their thoughts or feedback or questions that they want to submit to the show. And we had a way for the podcaster to play it back on the air. It's kind of where we wound up going with those mobile apps. And again, we did pretty well with those. We got a lot of users and a lot of activity, but we just couldn't find a business model for them. So, we kind of took a lot of our personal savings and dumped it into this thing. About 9-10 months of our time that went into it. And it turned out that, we had some, a lot of users that were like, I love this. This is really cool. But we just couldn't figure out a way to make money on it. And that's a big problem when you're trying to start a business. So it was kind of it was kind of a rough lesson to learn, but has really changed the way that I think and the way that we approached, our current business, and really kind of just starting it in a different way. But anyway, long story short, so we had this app that we had created that wasn't making any money, and we couldn't figure out what to do with it. I was running low on savings, and we were kind of hitting this point. We're like, what the hell are we going to do with this thing? And we had like 200 hours of audio that was submitted that people listening to podcasts had submitted. So like people are using it like crazy. And we got all this audio, and we had this idea that if we could just share this audio online, other people will hear how much fun and how engaging this app is, and they'll want to jump in on these conversations. Yeah. So that's when we realized that, damn, you can't actually share audio. It's really hard to do that online. So we had the idea of, let's turn them into videos, and then we'll put them on social media so they'll autoplay and, put an animation in there so people will be able to hear it. So we started using that for our own failing business at the time, and it caught on. And all of a sudden, other podcasters started seeing what we were doing, and they were like, I don't want your app. I actually want this, video creator thing. Like, give me access to this. So anyway, long story short, that's kind of how it all came about, and it was a lot of twists and turns. But this was really just December of this year, so just 6 months ago or so. It's still pretty new, but we luckily kind of turned and went in this new direction, and things are going pretty well.
That's awesome, man. I really love the fact that, it started at this app for like sports fans to talk trash to each other, and then it turns into what it is today, man. That's great, because I feel like I've experienced that so many times with things that I've tried to do. I'm like, man, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm excited about it, and then it doesn't happen that way. It turns into
Yep.
something else, but it still turns into something awesome, man. That's great. It's great to hear that story coming from you as well,
Yeah, and
man.
looking back at it now, and still, I think we may even still just be in the first 10% of this journey. I hope you never really know in the grand scheme of things, but looking back, it's kind of been interesting that we've actually had the same core values this whole time. Like we've been exploring this idea of how can we help people get their voice out to the world. First, it started with like you said, talking trash with sports fans. Then we moved on to people wanting to be able to talk to their favorite podcast,
Hmm.
and now we've kind of shifted to helping podcasters get their voice and the stories that they collect out to the world. So we've actually kind of been hitting on the same mission of like how can we make it easy, beautiful, and engaging for people to share their voice online, because that's what we're really all about. So it's been interesting, all the different vehicles that we've tried, and we've taken some shots in some different areas that didn't work out, but now I think we're really starting to narrow it down, and not only be able to help people share their voice, but also have an actual business behind it, which makes it a little easier to keep working on.
Yeah, yeah, that's great, man. And you mentioned that you guys are just really a few months old, man. You guys are fresh, and I'm glad that I was able to get a hold of you early on, man, and kind of discover what you were working on, and jump right into Wavve. I've been using it for a couple months now since the podcast launched, and I love it. I think it's been such an amazing tool to help me get the word out about what I'm doing with the podcast, and potentially I see it doing other things, man. I'm an artist, I make music, and I see this helping in that realm as well. I know me and you have talked about that a little bit. Is that something that you're kind of looking at as well to expand outside of podcasting? Is that conversation around at Wavve?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really interesting, and music is another huge space that could also use some innovation as far as when it comes to sharing and promoting. And maybe just to backtrack a little bit, so that I know I kind of jumped into our background story, but just to give everybody, all the listeners, kind of a good overview of what we do. So again, it's an online tool that makes it really easy to turn audio into custom branded videos that you can then share on your blog, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It makes it really easy to turn audio into something visual and engaging that you can share and actually market that audio content. So we've got templates for Instagram, even for Snapchat, Instagram stories, Facebook, a lot of different customization options to be able to load up custom images, choose your animations that move with the sound waves. We really try to make it as beautiful and engaging as possible. So that's really what we do. And podcasting has just been a great place for us to start, because we were already working in the space, and we are just really passionate about podcasting in general and helping podcasters. So it really makes sense that it's a good place for us to start with Wavve. But we have a lot of different types of people that use Wavve as well. Like you said, we do have, I think it's only a handful, but we do have a few musicians that use it to release clips of their songs before their album is released. So they'll kind of drip out clips to get people excited about those. We've actually got some authors that will, when they're promoting their book, they'll do kind of reads of their book before it's been
Yeah.
released, so that people can listen to it and be able to share it on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Conferences, they record so much audio content from all the sessions that happen. That's kind of an interesting space. And journalists as well, they do a lot of interviews when they're writing stories. So we think that there's, we think there's a massive application for this type of tool and technology. But our heart's in podcasting, so that's where we're starting out. But I think there's a lot of different ways it could go.
Yeah, that's great, man. I definitely see the potential, and I'm excited about it. So I could only imagine how excited you are about it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and just even when we were on just before, you use Wave, and when we hear people that use it and they talk about how much they love it and how much use they're getting out of it on social media, it just I mean every time we hear that, it gets us more excited and more motivated to keep working on it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. So let's talk a little bit about social media. What do you feel the part that Wavve plays in social media right now? There's a lot of people that use social media. Definitely, I see it growing even more. I got on the internet like early on, when it was just like AOL Instant Messenger, and then things like MySpace kind of got big. I've always felt that I've been the type of person that gets on early and just kind of sees what everything's about. Even Twitter, when it first came out, nobody was using it. I feel like Wavve could really play a big part of that, man. What do you see with it, and what do you see the potential of it becoming, especially with the way social media is now, that is very visual, and it's and audio is also becoming a major thing in social media.
Yeah, definitely. First off, I have flashbacks when you said AOL. The first thing I thought of was like, were you on Instant Messenger back in the day?
Yes, I was, man. It was Dirty Diddy 00.
I was just about to ask you, what was your screen? There's no better like icebreaker. What was your AIN screen name?
Yes.
Mine was Batman 6Z. I have no clue why I did that, but
That's
was mine.
great, man. That's great.
I love that question anytime AOL comes up. But no, it's a good question. I think what's crazy about social media is how fast it changes. I mean, every year
Yes.
there's new things coming out. There's new trends. I mean, right now, if you Google social media trends right now, the buzzwords that's going to come up is video marketing. Video it's what's controlling all the attention right now. Facebook and Twitter, we're kind of at this point with centralized social audio, centralized social media companies controlling most of the space, like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We're kind of at their mercy for whatever they decide is important, and they are tuning all of their algorithms for video, because they know if you start watching a video, you're going to spend more time on their platform than if you're just looking at pictures or reading text. So that's really kind of the big trend right now, and it's something that we can really help out with, because video's not easy to create. Like if you're actually going to create like a recorded video of yourself talking, you got to get the lighting right. You got to have a nice camera. You got to have a good hair day, all that good stuff. And it's tough to do, and it can be really expensive. On the other hand, talking into a microphone is pretty simple, although there's different variations of how good it can be. It can take a lot of effort to have a really good podcast, but as far as clicking on the microphone for a minute, it's pretty simple. So we're kind of combining those two things together. We're making it as easy as possible to create video content by just talking into a microphone or having an interview like we're doing right now, but then also building features to make those videos very visually appealing, make them stand out on social media, so we get all the benefits of video marketing, but not all the expenses to create those. So, but it's crazy. Like you, I've been on social media for as long as it's been around for the most part, and I've never honestly been great at it. I kind of have to confess that a little bit, but I've always committed myself, and especially most recently, to just learning it and trying to figure out, what gets the attention of people. I think that's the toughest thing right now, is there's so much noise out there. I mean, just if you open up your Twitter feed and sit there, it'll just say 10 tweets, 30 tweets, 60 tweets waiting for you to click and go through. So you got to really think, what can I do to cut through the noise and really reach the person that I'm trying to talk to and get their attention. So it's really hard to do, and it's changing constantly, but that's what makes it a fun problem to work on.
Yeah, definitely, man. You do have to fight through the clutter, but luckily I feel that Wavve does that, with audio and video together, man. It's just, I'm going to keep saying it, man. I'm really loving it. Wavve is just really that great, man. Every time I go to use it, I'm just like, man, this is exciting to me, because I like to take myself on the outside and see what I would like if I'm going to come across something. And I'm like, okay, I want to be heard, but it's kind of boring to just have audio. So, hey, to have this visual aspect of it is just amazing. and then to turn it into video to where you're able to put it on social media and things like that, just it's so beneficial. Um, let's talk a little bit about just digital marketing in general. How do you see it as opposed to traditional marketing and being in person? What has your experience been with that? Maybe even before Wave or now during Wave. How do you see that as working it into the hands of people that might not really be too familiar or might not be using digital media?
Yeah, it's a good question. And so before, I was never in a traditional marketing role. When I kind of started, when I founded Wave, I was kind of thrown into, I think what most people call growth marketing now because, generally in the startup world, you don't have a huge budget. You're not doing traditional, I'm not buying print media ads or like setting up events and conferences. So kind of more in that growth marketing area, which is a little bit of a vague term, but I think in my mind just means that you don't have a huge budget and you need to be really, really creative and find effective, low-cost marketing channels that really work. So it's a lot of testing. It's a lot of trial and error, a lot of failing as well. But you just got to be able to try different things. But before founding Wave, I was working for a software company here in Charleston, and I was in a little bit more of a traditional sales role. And I was a sales engineer, which meant that I walked into the sales meeting, for example, with an enterprise sales rep, and I was the technical guy that helped them navigate the conversation with the customer. So it was kind of sales, kind of technical. But one thing that stood out to me that one of my managers told me during sales training is he said, your customer has no idea how to purchase what you're selling. And your goal as a salesperson is to help navigate them through that process and explain to them not only why they need it and how it's going to change their life, but how do they actually buy it and use it. So there's this full process of navigating them through the sales process. And in a weird way, I think that really translates to digital marketing because what you're trying to do is use social media, use your listing in search engine results for Google or paid advertising to help navigate people through that funnel of learning about your product and then trying it and then testing it and then converting them into a customer. So you really have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of your customer. Where are they going to find you? So where do you, from a digital marketing standpoint, need to start as far as your channels? And then how are you going to get their attention, but then help them help navigate them through the process of actually purchasing it. So I think before I got into digital marketing, I didn't realize how expansive it can be as far as all the different tactics and programs and paid advertising itself could be social media advertising. You can make a career just on that. So as a startup founder, you have to just kind of have a little bit of knowledge in all these different areas, which I wasn't quite prepared for, but you just kind of figure it out as you jump into it.
Man, that's great. I really like that you brought that up about sales and how you pretty much have to navigate the person that wants to either use your service or buy your product. You have to navigate them on exactly not only how to use it, but how to purchase it, how to actually make a sale. And I see that as something that a lot of us have problems with. I know I've personally, as an entrepreneur, have had a problem translating, hey, this is what I'm offering, and this is what I either want to sell you or what I want to help you with or what I want to provide. And I'm really glad that you brought that up and you gave your perspective on it. And now that we're actually touching on that, why don't you walk us through the process if we want to start working with Wave and we want to implement it into our marketing strategy? How do we get to Wave? How do we get started with Wave? Tell us a little bit about the cards and walk someone through that process that has no idea what Wave is and how to get started.
Yeah, so I'd say the first thing to do is to find us on social media because we're constantly posting the different Wave videos that our users are creating. It's a great way to get some ideas and really get perspective on how people are using it and some of the different creative uses that people are putting forward with Wave. So you can find us. We're on Facebook or Twitter at Wave. Wave is always with two V's, Wavve. So we're on Facebook and Twitter at Wavve, Wavve, and then we're on Instagram at GetWavve, GetWavve. Instagram's a great place. That's where we kind of showcase our best videos that are created. So that's a great place to start. You can also go to getwavve.com, again with two V's. I think the first step is really just going and seeing some of these videos and listening to them and getting a feel for what people are posting. But as far as using Wavve, it's actually really simple. When you sign up for Wavve, we do have a free tier that you can try with some of our demo cards. So again, a card it's like a template. It includes an image, an animation, caption, some different design elements that determines what your video is actually going to look like. And once you have that card set up, all you have to do is add audio to it, and then it creates an MP4 video that you can download and then share on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have different card sizes, as I mentioned earlier. If you want to do a square one for Instagram, it fits a lot better than some of the other different templates, or we call it our vertical template for Snapchat. So when you sign up for Wavve, you can try some of the different demo templates, and you can also record. You can either upload audio or record audio directly through the browser. So if you're not a podcaster, you can still use Wavve. All you have to do is click on your microphone, and you can record up to a few minutes of audio and create videos from that as well. But I think the real magic of Wavve and what we do is there's a process where you can actually design your card. You pick your background image, you pick your animation and what you want it to look like, where you want it to go. You can pick captions as well with custom fonts to make it look really good. So you get that design that's really unique to your brand, and so it's your video. It's it's not a template or stock images that look like everything else. So you set up that card, and then you're able to add audio to it, and Wavve simply creates an MP4 video that you can download and plug into Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any other platform that supports video.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So there you have it, people. You got the way to get to Wavve. You know how to get down with it. You know where to find them. Baird, please leave us with some final words, either some digital marketing advice or some entrepreneur advice. Give us something.
For anybody out there that's thinking about their first entrepreneurial steps, I think my advice to you is don't put so much pressure on yourself and just get started. Even if it's just send a cold email asking somebody for feedback, or maybe it's creating a quick landing page with your idea and that you want to push out to some people and get some feedback. Just get started. I remember I was one of those people that I had this big, like 300-row Google Doc of all my different ideas and like these huge, I wanted to find that $1 million idea. There's no such thing. You have to go find it, and you have to go talk to people, and you have to create something. Don't spend a lot of money or effort on it, but just create something quick, easy that you can go show to people. And you talk to enough people and try to be helpful, you'll figure out what that is and be able to get started.
Awesome, Baird. All right, people. So there you have it. And remember, it's getwavve.com. That's GetWavve.com. And of course, you've heard the sponsorship mentions on the podcast. You've also seen us use it on our Instagram, our Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and on the website. So find them. Definitely use it in your digital marketing attempts. Congratulations on all the success, Baird. Thank you for being on the podcast. And to you, to everyone listening, peace, blessings, and hundreds of lessons. This is the Money Mantra.